Monday morning, folks, and a very warm welcome to this edition of the FINMET Mondays podcast. Last week was a little lackluster, I would say, in terms of price movements. You would agree with me, but there have been developments in U.S. politics. Cabinet members are being appointed as part of Trump's presidency. What is your view in terms of how these new members are being appointed? How are they going to shape the monetary policy going forward, and how will that indirectly impact gold and silver?
As we see Trump announcing his candidates, especially for Treasury and political council, the economic council, I think what we can see clearly are people who are very, very aggressive in terms of economic policy. And specifically, what I'm talking about is they believe in open markets, they believe in free markets. And also, I think there's no indication that there's going to be any reduction in the deficit. I think they talk a lot about reducing expenses, but it's not going to be possible. The initial feedback they're getting from Congress and Senate is negative, and on top of it, the discussion about changing the Fed governor, the Fed chairman, also looking at changing the way Treasury interacts with the Fed and impacting the independence of the Fed. All of these signal that we're going to see increased deficits and possibly higher inflation under the Trump regime in the first 6 months. And I think that can only be positive for gold. I think right now what we're beginning to see is a situation where the market is digesting these changes. Come 20th January, when Trump is going to be inaugurated, you'll start seeing the policy changes, and so the market should be ready for really wild, volatile situation in terms of what's going to happen to gold prices in January and then February, March, etc.
Let's quickly look into the technical outlook for this week and see what the markets
Sure.
have for us. Starting with US spot gold, Sunil, we are on the daily charts right here. Largely, we've seen that the metal is holding between this tight range of 2600 to 2667. We are seeing that the metal is slightly upward sloping, even while it is trading in this tight range, right? The bias is tilted towards the upside. These presence of these long wicks that you see here, each time the metal has come down to these lows from below 2630, you've seen a pullback. So this is just an indication that yes, there is still some of that bullish sentiment prevailing, even though we are in some sort of a short-term downtrend within the long-term bullish trend that we have in gold. Looking forward, we definitely need 2667 to be broken. This is proving to be the main resistance for gold. Beyond 2667, I think that will open the window for a break above 2690. On the downside, we may have to expect some of the economic data to come against gold for the metal to kind of test this 2600 support that we have here, which is the first support. Following 2600, we have a support right at 2547. The question to be asked is, which are those indicators that we are going to be seeing this week? The main ones are on Wednesday, we have CPI, which should be watched, especially after last Friday's non-farm payrolls data. I think this would be keenly watched, and followed that by PPI, which is a producer side inflation, which should also be watched. These would be the two key indicators that they'll be looking out for. Coming to silver, I missed mentioning this last week, but we have some sort of an inverted head and shoulders pattern where you have a head being formed and you have two shoulders being formed here. Not only has this formation happened and silver has broken above this level, clearing this head and shoulders pattern, you're also seeing the metal consolidate in a new range completely outside this head and shoulders pattern. This new range is between 30.87 and 31.5. So a very similar story in silver, where you're expecting the metal to break above 31.5 first, before it is able to launch an attack towards 32.3. This is the path of least resistance. I think the metal is on its verge to getting there, but I think the data that we have releasing is going to be the deciding factor for that. Thanks, Sunil. That's a quick roundup of the technical outlook. Let's see how the markets play out and if we are going to see some more volatile movements as compared to last week's lackluster movement. But till then, thank you so much and goodbye.